All right, Rev Tov, everyone. This is Rob Absalom Hanusim. We're here for our advanced Torah studies, and we're going to pick up and kind of switch gears a little bit. Going to be adding some more authors and books and research information as we go along this portion of our teachings. And in the past, as before, I will always stress that we have to it's a good idea to stay with as a standard our Torah or our Bibles. I'll put it that way. We stay with our Bible. Whenever there's doubt, remember the Bible, right, is there. It's enough for us. It has enough for us to operate in the kingdom of Yah. But all the other information that we're adding, it just gives you more background to stand on. More facts that are being proven every day. And in fact, they already have the information in the various museums, okay, and in the Vatican and places like that. So we're going to continue to increase our learning. And any questions you may have, any discussion, and preferably we'll have some discussion going along I know you're going to have questions because this is going to be some really, you talk about getting deep, we're about to kick in to another level. All right. That's all that I can say. Just hold on to your seat. A lot of the information you probably already have heard or know, but in this, we have documentation of where to find the information. Now, I quote Asher, Emma, Elisa, and I, one of the reasons why we have such a desire to move to the continent of Africa is because it will allow us the opportunity to get to the history, to put our hands on history, the historical sites. I plan a couple of places we planned is Morocco, is one of them, just one of them I want to, and Timbuktu, which is pretty close to where we're going to be living. Those two, they are relatively close, but the continent of Africa is huge. And then we're going to shoot back over to one of our favorite places, Kemet or Egypt. Now, we didn't get a chance to go down to Karnak the last time we went, but this time, as we're living there, we're going to go down to Karnak and we're going to get down to the Valley of the Kings and really spend some time there. But again, those are our desires. And then we're going to hit some Ethiopia and down to Kenya, Mount Zion is, as they call it, Mount Zion in Kenya, the holy sites that are there. Then the South, going to South Africa, and where there are some gold mines and things that are, that were there. And we're going to get into that in our studies. We're definitely going to hit on that because there's a lot of history in Southeast Al-Kabbalah or Africa or Afrique that we're not taught, okay? So prayerfully, this portion of our studies, again, will add more background to what we have learned. And so we are building or have a pretty extensive library, and it's growing all the time. When we move, we're going to have to, our biggest weight is going to be the books. And so we're going to have to do some very serious moving around to get these books over.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, we got a ton of books over here. And like when you want health, if you need health and wellness, then you're gonna call Emma Lisa. She's gonna hook you up because she's got I went up to the storage facility and she got a thing full of books. She got that health book, all these health books, healings, all these, and then that's just there, but we got books everywhere. We got books all around here. I'm looking around at the books and stuff, you don't see, I just let y'all see just a small portion, but we got And so, and then I get into the esoteric things, the Kabbalah, and then the Torah and Talmud and all that. I got all this stuff here. So
And Sister Lisa, I need that link again. I lost that link. You can send it to me again with the materials that we can look at. I'd appreciate it.
You're talking about what are you talking about?
with the
What
items
link?
from the store.
The items
Oh,
from the store. If you can send me the link again, I tried to get it the week before last, but you weren't on. But yeah, if you can send that, I don't know what happened to it.
no, it only lasts for so long because I tried to click on other people's pages that I sent it to, and it had expired, and I didn't know that. And so I will get it to you, but there's some cleaning up of my other account that I have to do before I can send it, and I will gladly send it. That was just 2 boxes of things. So I have 2 to 3 more boxes of things that you may be interested in, but I will get it to you.
Or you can send me. We can do a day. I ain't gonna take up the airtime, but I can come and look myself physically, so we can talk about that too.
Yeah,
Okay.
another time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is the family channel, by the way, y'all. So it's not open. We're not broadcasting this all. This is us, right? So we can discuss things. So anyway, I sent in the email I had in the book of Jubilees, chapter 10, and chapters 10 and 11, all right? Which is where we want to start from. But I want to read a little bit from chapter 5 in the book of Jubilees, and then go over to chapter 10. But and I'm not going to I'm just going to hit chapter 10 just a little bit, and then I'm going to introduce you to some history out of the wars of the gods and men. Okay, I'm going to look at a chapter out of there. It's on mankind, and and there's a lot of information there. So a lot of information, and also I might, if I have time. Of course, this is not, this is like a expository teaching. And we, in other words, it builds upon each other. It layers, as all of our teaching does. Again, we start with the basics first, which was the Torah. Then we added the Sefer, which was the Apocrypha. So we went to 81 books. We went from 66 books to 81 books because we include also the Brit Hadashah, or the New Testament. And then we added a little bit of Mishnah Torah. We touched just a little bit on Talmud and those, because they're not really. I don't put a lot of emphasis on Talmud and in Mishnah Torah, yes, but not so much Talmud. Not so much, because it's more for those that are really rabbinic, or that are going to be on a Beit Din or something like that, or just want to get, if you just want the knowledge of it, it's good. But it's really, and the intent was for those that are sit on the Beit Din, those that will be leaders in the community. They would actually get heavily involved in the Talmud, both the Jerusalemi and a Babylonian Talmud, mostly Babylonian Talmud, because it's the latest, has the latest redactions. But that's how we do it. We build, and then we go into Kabbalah, and we've hit Kabbalah, we've hit, Sefer Yetzirah and the Bahir. So we've hit different books to introduce you to those. Those are just, what we did was just introductory information. That's, and so because it's introductory, as we study Torah, we include some of that information or the materials. So it builds, and it enhances. And that's my purpose, is to enhance, or to encourage you, or to edify you with more of what you already have. Because again, we go through the Torah every year. But and if we can just stay on the surface, but the intent of the Torah was to get you deeper into the relationship with the Father. And unfortunately, those that came before us in the 17th, 18th, 17th century, 16th, 17th century, even before then, Council of Nicaea, and they removed and changed, and King James came and they took the books out that were ours. And so we've included them. Okay, and that's where you get the suffering. But there are other books, okay? There are other Sumerian tablets that we have information for. We're getting that to you. As a matter of fact, what we're going to do a little bit tonight is going to come from some of the Sumerian tablets and the so the 12th planet, which is again covers Mesopotamia, and there's a lot of history that we don't even discuss in the that's relevant to the Bible and to the history of the wars that we saw Israel fighting, and even to today. These things are relevant because we look back and we see what's happening today. As we look back, we can see the future, and we see exactly what's happening because it's repeating itself. So in the book of Jubilees, 5th chapter, it says, 5th chapter, verse 1 starts, and it came to pass that when the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the angels of Elohim saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon, and they took themselves women of all whom they chose, and they bore unto them sons, and they were Nephilim. Okay, so we're reading this from the Hebrew rendition, or Hebrew, it comes from the Hebrew text and translated into English. And so you remember Yahushua said we should be like the angels that don't marry and are not given in marriage. They're not carnal. The angels were not meant to be carnal.
Right.
And then here, when it's talking about the angels of Elohim, or the angels of the powers, they were never supposed to mingle and mix with human beings.
Right.
Their purpose was to instruct us in righteousness. And they called them in the book of Enoch the Watchers. Right. So we're going to get some very interesting things about that. All right. There's some very interesting things, and I want to spark your interest in this. So what I'm going to do is I just read that little bit, right? Again, with the focal of the teaching is actually on chapter 10, when it talks about let me just read a bit of that before I switch over here into the Samaritan text. It says, and in the 3rd week of this Jubilee, again, the book of Jubilees talks about every 50 years, right? And we as mortals, we're supposed to live 2 Jubilees in 2 weeks, which would be 120 years. That's promised to us. But how many people do you know that made 2 Jubilees?
Right.
2 Jubilees, So we're supposed to at least, get at least at a minimum 120 years, right? So, but we have been conditioned to 70 years.
Right.
If you read it, we've been conditioned to 70 years. And as it reads, is that in the Jewish text, it says 3 score and 10, and then by reason of strength, 80 years or 4 score. But the Father, his intent was what? That we live forever. But because of the fall, he said, okay, I'll give you 120 years. Right. And there's some scientific proof of a change in the DNA strands that limit us to 120 years. So if we're not making 120 years, we're shortchanging ourselves. I call that we are being aborted, because 120 years is encoded into our DNA, scientifically proven. Scientifically proven. 120 years is encoded. Okay. And that's a heavy subject to get into. Remember, I said this is an advanced class, and we're going to get into deeper things of when we're talking about the Brit Hadashah or the Old Testament, and we're talking about the Torah. There and remember the introduction was and is in the book of Enoch. It talks about a lot of things, but it doesn't talk to it the way in a modern way. Okay, but it's saying the same things. Like, say for instance, abortion. It talks about abortion. It actually is talking about abortion. It tells you how they're killing the babies in the womb. And another thing was they were keeping the women from getting pregnant, which is called, what do you call that? When you take the pregnancy pill to keep from getting pregnant.
Contraceptive.
Contraceptives, yeah. They were actually using contraceptives on their wives so they wouldn't lose their figures. So they were actually doing contraceptives. They wouldn't going to get pregnant. Then you, of course, you're stretching the muscle if you have 3 or 4 children, and they would have many children, so stretch the muscle. Then they didn't look as attractive to them as attractive to men, So they would have a wife, and they'd have a wife for children, but they'd have a wife, what they call a trophy wife, that they keep on the pill, or it was a liquid form. So they were doing the same. They were doing these things that we're doing. They learned from before the flood.
Right.
I'm setting you up now. The things that we're doing today were being done before the flood. Before the flood. And the scripture in the book of Enoch tells you a lot of that. But most of our brothers and sisters don't have access to those books because they were taken out of our King James Version, the modern day King James Version, because they decided, the Illuminati and those that decided you didn't need to know that. Just like the government doesn't want you to know the things that we're going to talk about and are documented. And again, as we talk about them, you'll start to see them yourself. You'll start to see them show up. When you look at the news on your computer, you'll see it show up. It's going to show up because they are listening to what we say. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Proved it so many times that they do it. Okay. So it says, and in the 3rd week of this Jubilee, the unclean devils began to lead astray the children of the sons of Noah, and to make to err and destroy them. So this is after the flood. We're having encounters with these spirits. So the flood took care of the flesh, but it did not take care of what? The spirit. Okay. It didn't. It only took care of the flesh. So now, having said that, so what I'm introducing you is spiritual realm. We're dealing in the spiritual realm. And he talks about how he says, and let me go down a little bit. It says, verse 3. Yeah, let me read verse 3 for you. It says, no, I got to read verse 2. It says, and the sons of Noah came to Noah, their father, and they told him concerning the devils which were leading astray and blinding and slaying his sons, his grandchildren. The devils were already attacking them. The devils were attacking them. Okay. He says, and this is war. They're at war with us. In other words, their intent is to kill, steal, and destroy. Okay. He says, and he prayed before Yahuwah, his Elohim, and said, Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, who has shown mercy unto me and has saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and has not caused me to perish as you did the sons of perdition. For your grace has been great towards me, and great has been your mercy to my soul. This is a prayer, by the way. He says, let your grace be lift up upon my sons. Let not wicked spirits rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the earth. We walk not in the, we walk in the flesh, but we war not after the flesh. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, right? So when we talk in Brit Hadashah, when the writer in Brit Hadashah, he understands that. And we understand that. We who walk according to the Torah and walk according to the Bible, I'll put it this way. Under the teaching of Yeshua HaMashiach, we understand the spiritual warfare that we're in. But we're giving you more information on this thing, this spiritual warfare. It is real. People will make you think that it's not real, and that it's not, but it is real, and it is still today going on. Just open up your door, look out your windows, turn on the radio. You'll see it's still happening today. People don't understand that because they've been taught that the Bible is just a myth, or this stuff it's not in effect. Many of them don't believe anything. But again, as it says here, the sons of perdition, those that didn't believe were destroyed. And it's the same today. It says, just as in the days of Noah, that's where we are now. If you look back, you can see forward. It says, he says, but do you bless me and my sons, that we may increase and multiply and replenish the earth. And you know how your watchers, again, the fathers of these spirits, acted in my day. He says, and as for these spirits which are living, imprison them and hold them fast in the place of condemnation, and let them not bring destruction on the sons of your servant, my Elohim. For these are malignant and created in order to destroy. That's what they're doing. That's what they do. They're doing what they do. Okay? And let them not rule over the spirits of the living, for you alone can exercise dominion over them. And let them not have power over the sons of the righteous from henceforth and forever. And Yahuwah, our Elohim, bade us to bind all. So we have the power of binding and loosing. You know, we studied in the Brit Hadashah, right? Binding, whatever you bind in the earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Okay?
Matthew 17:18, right?
We can do that, right? Yeah. And the chief of the spirits, Mastema, came and said, Yahuwah created, let some of them remain before me. Listen at this. Let some of them, he's pleading his case, let some of them remain. He says, and let them hearken to my voice and do all that I shall say unto them. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men. Listen at this joker. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, angel and spiritual wickedness in the heavenlies. But they're not in the heavenlies, they're on earth. These that we're dealing with here are on the earth. They're pleading their cause. They don't have power unless the Father give it to them. But watch this, he says, but these are for corruption and leading astray before my judgment. For great is the wickedness of the sons of men. So he said, look, he got that wickedness. He's testifying against men. He said, look, men are wicked anyway. So just let us have our way with them. You know, I can't do anything unless you give me permission. So give me permission for those that go astray. Give me permission to destroy them. But you know, he's a trickster, he's a liar. And so what he does is he attacks the sons of light. That's you and me, those that are looking for the Father, to obey the Father through his son, Yeshua HaMashiach. He says, and he said, let the 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9 parts descend into the place of condemnation. Listen at that. So he said, okay, I'll leave you some. You know why? Because we need that to strengthen us. They're here coming against us. We understanding who we are and whose we are, and the power that we have of binding and loosing, we can just bind them jokers. And we can loose them from people that they've attacked. But we have to do our part, and that is return to Shuvah, return to the Torah, return to the covenant. And see, and that's where our power is. See, our power lies in our covenant. But again, the enemy has to get permission. He can't do anything to us unless he gets permission. And the way he gets his permission is we operate outside the contract agreement. He has free reign. He has free reign when we operate outside the the contract agreement. Now you say, well, they weren't under the, yes, they were. The sons of Noah were under the contract agreement. They were under the contract agreement, but they were doing things they weren't supposed to. So it was attacking them and their sons, their children. Because they were operating, they were eating blood, they were doing all kinds of stuff. So when all this stuff, now they're gonna cry to dad, Dad, can you help us out? Can you help us out? No, you open up the door. See, but you my children, so yeah, I'm gonna talk to the father. And then of course, and this is like a court case. They're standing before the court, the heavenly court. So, you know, and Noah is there in his prayer and his petition. Your petitions go to the court, the higher court. And here's this Mastema on the side. So you have the plaintiff and the defendant. Noah is the plaintiff. He's lodging a complaint against Mastema. And Mastema, please, he said, look, I just need to get the ones that ain't doing what they're not doing right. Just give me those. Let a few of mine hang out. Just one tenth part of them. Let them stay here. You take them out, but leave me something so that I can do destruction on the earth. That's why we have them here. They asked and received permission. But they don't have it unless you give them rain in your life. You have to give it to them. You have to give it to them. See, so let's teach people. Don't give in. No matter what you're going through, don't give in. Just don't give in. Hold on to the end. Don't give in. So let me read something else. Okay, let me read this for you now. I hope y'all can handle this. Okay, so this is coming. This is coming. this is coming. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. All right, it says, now this is coming from one of my books. He's a Jewish guy, Zachariah Sitchin. Okay, brilliant guy. The War of the Gods and Men. Okay, so he deals in Sumerian text, and he's passed on, by the way. I should say of blessed memory. I think he passed away in 2012. It says, I had to start it from. I don't want you to start in the middle. I'm gonna start right here at the beginning. It says, ever since George Smith found and reported in 1876, okay, detailed Mesopotamian, okay, tales of creation. You realize that Nimrod was over there. Abraham was over there in that area. Okay. Noah was in that area. All right. So it says the Mesopotamian tales of creation, other versions, it says, followed by L.W. King's The Seven Tablets of Creation. That's, we got that one. The scholars and theologians alike have come to recognize that the creation tales of the Old Testament, Genesis 1-3, are condensed, listen at this, condensed and edited. Condensed and edited. We're not getting the full story. This is from theologians and scholars, people that have access to the information. As I said, in those libraries, in those museums, they've got the information. In the Vatican, in the basement of the Vatican, it's there. So they have access. And so they have these think tanks. And this is all they do. This is what they get paid to do. And so they said that we have a condensed and edited versions of original Sumerian text. Sumerian. Again, Samaria. We're getting back to that area. Over there where they fight, Israel and bombing over there, and they fighting back and forth. They just, Babylon and what the Damascus, and they're bombing the same area. And remember when ISIS was tearing down these temples, right? These temples had the writings on it, and that's what the information that's up in Europe right now, a lot of it came from there. And then of course in Egypt, we have the Kemet. It says, and our condensed and edited versions of original Samaritan text, a century later in our work, The 12th Planet, I've got the 12th Planet, by the way, 1976, we have shown that these texts were no primitive myths. They're not myths. They have been validated as true. Just like you have to go in the Bible and they have to prove the Exodus happened and they have to prove all these things. Well, they went back and they proved these things to be true. It says, but the depositories of advanced scientific knowledge with which modern scholars are only now beginning to catch it. Listen at this. They had advanced scientific knowledge. They had advanced scientific knowledge with which modern scholars are only now beginning to catch up. So now we're starting to see some of the things that they were using in the text. One of them is where the military uses against people and they shoot you with this thing and it disrupts your body. It just messes you up. It just messes you. They got that. It's ancient technology. They finally got it to where they could work it. They figured it out, but it's ancient technology. A lot of things that we're seeing, if you notice that there was an explosion in technology, well, back, I guess in the 40s, back, you know how technology just took off with a big boom? Well, they got the information. They finally figured it out. And once they figured it out, the key to it, now we're seeing the results of it. And it's growing exponentially, okay? So it says, watch this, it said, the unmanned space probe of Jupiter and Saturn confirmed many incredible facets of Sumerian, listen at this, confirmed many facets of the Sumerian knowledge. It confirms the Sumerian knowledge regarding our solar system. Now, how did the Sumerians know about the solar system? Without telescopes, without airplanes, without rockets. How do they know the solar system? He said they're finding out what the Sumerians already knew. He says, such as that the outer planets have numerous satellites and that water is present on some of them. Water is present on some of them. I just read a thing today about that. I just read something about that today. He says, those distant planets and some of their principal satellites were found to have active cores that generate internal heat. Some radiate out more heat than they can ever receive from the distant sun. So they just radiate their own heat. Some of the planets. Sumerians know about that. The Sumerians knew that. It said, volcanic activity provided these celestial bodies with their own atmospheres. All the basic requirements for the development of life exist out there. The Samaritans knew about that. It says, just as the Samaritans had said, listen, just as the Samaritans had said 6,000 years ago. There's a tribe in Africa that can tell you about the Pleiades, that you read in the Bible about Pleiades. They know about Pleiades. They knew about Pleiades before you can't even see Pleiades. But they know it was there and they knew all about it. Could in detail. How is that possible? Information has been suppressed. It's been there, but you have to be one of those that had access or able to get access to the information. And all these guys pretending that they are so intelligent are stealing from ancient technology. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's what they're doing. It's stolen technology. And it came out of Kemet, Sumeria, It came out of Africa, the continent of Africa. It came out. That's where it came from. And what they call the Middle Earth, Central Asia, which is where Nimrod and Ham, you have the Hamites and Nimrod were controlling the world at that time. And there was something going on there, okay? It says, now, it says, what then of the existence of a 12th member of the solar system? And they're talking about that now. The news and science, in the science, you see it on the news sometimes. You look, check news, start checking the news, and you'll start seeing these things pop up. Scientific community, what they're finding out there when they come with these probes are going out and they're finding things, and they're not letting you know everything. They can't. And the reason why they're trying to get away is because they know what's coming and they want to get away. They know what's coming. All right. So it says a 10th planet beyond Pluto. Okay. So now you know Pluto is a dwarf planet, right? It's no longer a major planet. It's now a dwarf planet. You know why? It says the Sumerian Nibiru or Babylonian Murdoch is a person and a planet. Okay. A planet whose existence was a basic and far-reaching conclusion in the 12th planet. Okay. So the Sumerians already knew about it. All right. The Egyptians already knew about it. Our forefathers already knew about it. All right. He says in 1978, astronomers at the U.S. Naval Observatory, okay, in Washington determined that Pluto, being smaller than formerly believed, could not be itself account for perturbations in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune. They postulated the existence of yet another celestial body beyond Pluto. And every once in a while they'll hit it, but they don't say much about it. But see, we already know the name of it. See, Nibiru, we know the name of it. Murdoch, we know the name of it. It says in 1982, the U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, announced its conclusion that there indeed exists such a body. Now, they always talk this other Earth that's twice the size of our Earth or so many times larger than our Earth. And they're talking about these planets now because the reason is because the word is getting out. People like us are talking about it. We're not the only ones talking about it. People have been talking about this for a while, for years, because I started learning it a while back, but I got off because my preacher friends were telling me I was getting too deep. So I left that kind of stuff alone, right? It says whether or not it is another large planet, it planned to determine by deploying in a certain manner its two Pioneer spacecraft that had been hurled into space beyond Saturn. So they got some spaceships out there. That's what they're doing. They're looking for what has happened is they've seen the Samaritan text. They have access to it. The government has full access to that stuff. And so they've read it and they know it's there, but they don't want the general public to know. And so they're trying to get out there and find these things because they're there. All right. It says, and okay. I'm gonna go over a little bit. I'm gonna go over a little bit more. Oh, okay. I'll read this next paragraph. It says, at the close of 1983, at the close of 1983, astronomers at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California announced that IRAS, the infrared telescope mounted on a spacecraft and launched under NASA's auspices with the cooperation of other nations, had discovered beyond Pluto a very distant, mysterious celestial body, about 4 times the size of Earth, moving toward Earth. You know what that is? So we know the name of it. Murdoch or Nibiru. He said, they have not yet called it a planet, but our Earth Chronicles leave the ultimate finding in no doubt. See, okay. So again, these are things that are withheld from us. Now, do I want to go that far? Let me see here. It talks about the war. This is about the wars. And I wanted to show you, let's see. Yeah, let's just, I don't want to get, because we're going to hit this again, some more. I'm going to add some more to it. So, talks about the creation of man. It talks about the book of Genesis. Okay. Let me get my marker here. Talk about the Nile. Okay.
So what do you think happened with the Dead Sea? They said the only way you can float and the way it responds is that there had to be something that hit it. So what do you think about the Dead Sea? And they said that never had happened. So what's the explanation behind that?
Okay. That's a good question. Let me show you this. That's a good question. That's a good question. Let me share a screen with you. Oh, I gotta share the screen. I can't just do it this way. I gotta share the screen. Okay. I'm glad you asked that question. Because the other day I said I was talking about something. On Shabbat, remember I said something about the earth, not very much. I didn't want to get too far into it because it was, I didn't want to get too deep into it because it's from the advanced class. So I didn't want to. So I'm sharing your screen. This is, you can see what it says, right? It's news, right? World news. This is out there. This is out there, right? Okay, it says, now it says, let me go back up a little bit. It says, lost planet Theia, okay, is hidden inside the earth. New study says. Now, remember the question you just asked, right? You just asked the question about the Dead Sea. Okay, it says, unusual material discovered deep within the center of the earth are the remains of an ancient planet that had collided with Earth billions of years ago, scientists have found. See, this was called Tiamat before it was called Earth. It used to be called Tiamat. And I talked about, on the Sabbath, I talked about the war in the heavens, okay? And I was talking about how the planets collided. Well, that's kind of like a celestial war. And so it hit Tiamat, okay? It said the blobs of strange material known as large, low velocity provinces, LLVPs, were first discovered by geophysicists in the 1980s, who at the time had no idea what they were, And found under Africa and the Pacific Ocean. Each blob is made up of different elements and is twice the size of the moon. Okay, and it says, now this is under Africa and in the ocean, twice the size of the moon. It says, now scientists have finally solved the mystery. These blobs are actually remains of an ancient planet that crashed into Earth during the same impact that created the moon. That same impact created the moon. So it crashed into Tiamat and it broke off pieces of it and became known as Earth. And from when the planet hit, it had life on it. And it left life on Earth. Okay, it left life on Earth. Okay, it's because, and when you scientifically, they found that the animal life here has different elements that are found on it than are found actually on Earth. They come from somewhere else. They come from somewhere else. It said the findings are described as study published in the scientific journal of Nature. So it's in the scientific journal of Nature. You can find this November 1st. Okay, the moon came to be when Earth collided with a smaller planet named Theia. Okay, but it actually is Tiamat, and Earth came from Tiamat. That's what actually happened. Okay. However, no remains of this smaller planet have ever been found. You know why? The Samaritan text tells you what happened, and the Epic of Anunnaki tells you what happened. It became, as I said, I think I said it, that it became a belt, right? A belt around Earth, and it's like an asteroid belt, all right, around the Earth, separating from the outer planets and the inner planet, okay? So no remains of it, but they're there, okay? But they're behind those that have studied or are studying the Samaritan tablets, because it's documented in those tablets. exactly what happened in the heavens. That's why I know about Tiamat, because it's in those tablets. See, and I have the books. Okay. It says, these new findings, however, suggest that it could have been absorbed by Earth. This would have created strange blobs discovered under the continent of Africa and the Pacific Ocean. Now, you know, the Dead Sea is close to where? Africa. Right. So the probability is that it came from one of this war. Okay, celestial war. We call it celestial wars. Okay. So another one. Let me try another one. Let me show you this one here. This is another one. Okay. This one says, remember, this is our advanced Torah class. We do more, get more information. Okay. Scientists have discovered 2 giant mystery structures lurking under Africa. Now that came from the other article, right? It says, many of us look to the stars for answers to life's most complex questions, but actually some of the greatest mysteries lie beneath our very feet. One might think we know the Earth pretty well by now, but in fact, our planet's core remains shrouded in enigma. There are many things in the Earth. Remember, well, we're gonna, those things we'll answer as we build through the course, through the classes. Okay. Indeed, there are 2 gigantic blobs beneath Africa and the Pacific Ocean. Okay, so it talks about 6% of the world's entire volume. 6% of the world's entire volume, and we're still not entirely sure what they were made of or where they came from. So they, you know, we know, okay, that again, Tiamat and was, you know, that was the war in the heavens, celestial war. Okay, so it talks about how large it is, 479 miles tall, you know. So it gets into the gist of what I wanted to say is that what we're studying and what we will be studying is well documented. Okay, and it ties into our biblical narrative, only giving more scientific insight as to what has happened. So what I want to I'm trying not to get too far into because I want this to be like the introductory into this, and it's almost 8 o'clock anyway. But I want to share one more thing, because I'm reading about 3 books at the same time. Yeah, you have to excuse me for that. I'm reading a bunch of books because there's so much information, and then I have to do reviews on the books and stuff. So so I'm not just haphazardly, but I'm going to see if I can. All these diagrams I'm showing you, we're going to get into, but these are like launch pads and landing pads that they have. Of course, you know this is Africa, you know this is East Africa because it's all up to Israel, so you know it's East Africa. Then you go into the Middle Earth, right? But and of course they give you this for it. And it shows all these are scientific things that have proven flight paths and things like this from the past. Hieroglyphics showing some materials, but I'm going back up to the planets. I'm trying to get up to the planets. And they have, and in my books, I have these some of the cuneiform is what it is. A lot of it, and the hieroglyphs and the cuneiform showing exactly what, explaining what's going on. These were people on Earth. When it talks about the sons of God, I wanted to
And thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, I want to, so next week we're going to talk about these sons of God, all right? Because in Egypt it's there, but you see they have I can't read that, but it's there, that's Greek. But I want to show you this. These are some of the temples that were there. This is Mesopotamia. This is before Rome. Okay, this is before Rome was even thought of. This is before the flood. These are things they found that were before the flood, by the way. All this stuff was before the flood. All this stuff before, these are over in Mesopotamia that were before the flood. All these civilizations were before, these are 30,000 and 20 and 30,000 years ago. Okay. These are old, and they've already known, they've known this, but they didn't, unless you can get to the British Museum or this is a depiction of first human crossbreed between the sky people, the Nephilim, the fallen ones, and the human. This is one of the first perfected one. Okay. But I want to go back to, I'm trying to get to the, I know it's in there. Oh, let me see something. Let me try this. I'm gonna go, I want to, there were the flying ships, they were flying. It shows the vessels they were flying. A lot of it is kind of, oh, okay, let's do it this way. That's Noah's Ark, by the way. That's the Noah's Ark. These are talking about the sons of God when they took the daughters of men in that filing. Some of the emblems you see that, if you look at pilots, they have these. This is where they got those from.
Mm.
None of that stuff is new that you see. The military, none of it's new.
Yeah.
Okay, here's how this. You see this orbit here, this outer orbit. That's the planet that they don't know about, but it comes around about every 3,600 years. This planet, all right, this planet, and when it comes in, it disturbs things, and what happens? There are phenomena that take place during this time, like when Abraham was born. Okay, they said there's a star in the sky that comes. That's what they're talking about, and they follow this star when Yeshua was born. That's what they're talking about. It's like every one of those phenomena happened about 3,600 years when this planet comes into orbit, into sight. And they know it. Now they're saying they know it's there. They don't know the name of it, but we know the name of it. You can call it Burdock or you call it Niburi. And it's inhabited. It's an inhabited planet according to the documentation in the Samaritan text. Okay. It's a place where there is life. And it's coming in. So they know that it's coming. And they projected it'd be like the year 3,000 something. In the year 3,000, 3,600 or something like that. It should be back again. So they're preparing for it. They're preparing for it when it comes back. So that was one of the things I want to hit. So next week, I want to talk about the sons of God, of that, and what happens when this planet was in the orbit when it came through. Okay, it comes 3,600 years. So for those on that planet, for us, 3,000 years for them is 1 year in their lifespan. So Earth will go 3,600 years. For them, it'll only be 1 year. So they live a long time. So, and you read the documentation in the chronicles of said how these people lived long times, and they have these kings that live for 3,600 years, 3,000 years, and on, and then the ages, the lifespan started to diminish after a while. Okay, so we're going to get into all of that, and this was the introduction to this information on, again, more of how the sons of God interacted with, and the angels interacted with the sons of men, and some of them, all right, but you have to understand now we have to distinguish between the angels and the Nephilim that are actually humanoid or human. They're men because they have desires like men. They cohabitate with women. Angels don't do that. See? So, but again, it's been edited, right? And they've changed a lot of the documentation in it. But we have the original documentation in some of the books that I'll be introducing in the class to get and show you where you can get the information from. And again, you'll see in the news, they'll start bringing this stuff out because it's out now. It's out now. So they can't hide it. They can only hide it for so long. You can only enslave people for so long before the truth starts coming out. So the truth is coming out. And in this advanced class, we'll touch on those. If any questions you have, we can discuss them again. But the bottom line is we live by the Bible. This is more information to help us understand what took place on the earth before the flood. Okay, before the flood, there were things that were happening before the flood, and you'll see a repetition of what's going on. Again, the technology was here. It's still here. It's here. Okay. We know now that the earth was created by an impact from another planet. We know that the moon was formed from that impact. We know that there are fragments from that planet, from Tiamat, all right, still here, that hit Tiamat, the planet that hit Tiamat, which now is Earth. Tiamat became Earth. And they can't find Tiamat because Tiamat is that planet. Earth is that planet. And just fragments of it broke off and formed the moon. And that's how it is. Right? So
where is God in all this?
God, he sits on the throne. He's ruling everything. He's the ruler. He is the ruler, the Almighty God, and they bow to him. All the creation bowed to him. They all of them, everything in creation bows to him. No matter where you go, they bow to him. He is in control of everything. He is our Father. And the laws in the Torah are the laws of the universe. They are not supposed to intervene into anything that we do. They can watch. They are watchers. They are to help us. And they're still there. Remember, the spirits of the watchers are still around. Right? And, well, I'll put this out. The military has used their technology, and it's getting out because people begin to see it. Like they talking about this vessel that they had in there. Lockheed Martin and Boeing, they built it. They housed it. They built it from ancient technology. That's where they got the technology from. And they built it. Looked like a cigar, and then people taking pictures of it. People are seeing that's the technology they use. They've been doing it. They've been experimenting with it. But now it's coming out. Now they're starting to say, well, they are real, but they're not really, they call them something else, phenomenon, but it's because it's them. They're doing it. So, yeah, but Yah our Father sits on the throne, and he knows what's happening. He knows, just like he knew then. And they have to get permission. They still have to get permission to do anything. The laws of creation, the laws of the universe stand. Our Father never changes. What we have in our Torah, in our Bible, is enough for us to remain in the covenant. Enough for us to stay in the covenant. But the more we know about it, the better we can fight the war against the sons of darkness. As he said, when Noah said, protect us from these jokers. Protect us from, they're here. Father allowed them to be here. He said, yeah, okay, you can keep 10% of them, and they're going to do what they do. But they only are allowed to get those that are outside the covenant. So when we talk about people being saved, that's what we're talking about. Come into the covenant so you can get away from the wrath of these devils that are out there, and they are there, and they have permission. They have been given permission to do what they're doing.
Okay.
And they do it with impunity. And the Father says, if you operate outside the laws of creation, the laws of the universe, they're going to get you. Your protection is in the word. That's where it is. Because it's there. They have to be there, and it strengthens us. Those, they're there, they come against us, it strengthens us because we know who we are and whose we are. We know what to stand on. Okay. We know. And that's what we have to do. Remember, our Father in heaven, hallowed be his name, his kingdom come, his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Why would he say that? His will be done on earth as it is in heaven, because he's telling us something.
Ishina. All right.
Yeah, he's telling us. That's something. And they have to live by the same laws that we do. That he is the creator. Now, they're these demigods or these powers, these rulers, age rulers, they're powers. Spiritual wickedness in happening, those are powers. Okay. They rule it says in heavenly places, right? In the spiritual realm. Right? So we're going to open up and show the information where it comes from and why the scripture says that. Because it's a fact. We've been taught that is to think of it only in one aspect, but there's more to it than that. Okay. And the information is there. So we'll just share that information as we have it.
Amen.
Don't give it to everybody though. This is for us. You can't give it to everybody because people understand. I give it to you all because you're strong enough and you can take it, absorb it, and do the research on it, right? And
Well, when I think about everything you said, what goes on in my mind is, okay, if that's split off and that's the earth, there's life here. Is there life on those other pieces that split off?
Yeah. See, that's the deal. In our studies, you're gonna find, let me stop this thing right here. Because because I'm gonna send this out and it'd be too long to, take